Welcome everybody to the 1 year anniversary and 10K Twitter follower celebration stream. We got myself, my stuff as always, and our lovely Chief Executive Officer, Rika Rose. Welcome, as always.
Hello.
So,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, of course, anytime. So as I said, we're celebrating here, and what better way to celebrate Yakuza than to rate our favorite sitcoms of all time? We figured literally no better way to celebrate this monumentous occasion. So, get ready.
Most of our streams delve into us just talking about sitcoms anyway.
Exactly. So, we figured why not finally throw down the gauntlet here to see what's the best of all time. So, as the screen suggests, and I'll blow this out here in a second so it's a little bit zoomed in, rating the greatest sitcoms of all time, and we have a few rules to set the stage here. So one, must be live action. So things like Simpsons or Futurama or of that nature don't count. Maybe we'll do a separate list for that at some point, but for the purposes of this, just doing some live action. Two, must be mostly comedy focused and not really dramedy. So this one was a little difficult. So some examples include like Sex and the City, Barry, Psych, and Monk. Um, and even though those can be funny, obviously those more are kind of drama-ish. So we didn't quite include these ones. And then the third one was no sketch shows allowed. So SNL, Mad TV, and Living Color, Chappelle Show, Key and Peele, all that, Ollie G Show, um, which also could probably be its own ranking at some point too. But sketch shows don't exactly count. So yeah, so those are the ground rules, and we have our tier here. So the top of the list is starting from top to bottom. Drew Carey show right up top, one of the greatest of all time. We'll get into that though, but that's going to be in a category of its own, or others that rival it. Then we got the S tier, A, B, C, and D. So that's pretty standard. And then these last two are some ones to help us categorize a little bit where we're not sure. So one is just we haven't watched it or we just know very little about. So I wanted to include as many different shows as we could, even if we haven't quite watched them. But maybe this will drive us to watch some of those at some point potentially. And then the last one is where if we're just disqualifying something or doesn't count. So like I said, there are a couple of shows that I included here that might skirt the line too much. And if after we discuss it, we decide it doesn't count. Not to say it's a bad show, but it just doesn't count for this list, then we can put it in there. So, you know.
It might be a bad show that doesn't count.
I mean
Who knows?
that's true too. We could offend a fair amount of people here. Um, so yeah, but yeah, makes sense on the rules. Any other thoughts or things to add?
No, let's get going.
All right.
What we got first?
So let me put into presentation mode here real quick. That might make it look a little bit better because I hate these fucking ads. We got Guy Fieri on the side here. Okay, I think that looks a little bit better actually. Okay, all right. So we got a lot of shows to get through. So we'll see if we even finish it in one stream. We'll see if we have to continue at some point because I downloaded a lot of shit here. Okay, first up, 30 Rock. Right off the bat, I've never seen the show.
So, you hear me? I think I've cut out.
Yeah, no, I can hear you now. Mm-hmm.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I see season 1.
Okay.
What is it? Really good show. I don't think it's a sitcom.
Okay, so this might be in the doesn't count category then.
Can't hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
It's great stuff. Great. You hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah. Wait, so can you hear me?
One sec.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a sitcom. It's more like a modern, just like comedy without like a studio audience, multi-camera type thing.
Mm-hmm. So
I wouldn't say it counts.
doesn't count. Okay. Yeah, I mean, to be honest,
Because
maybe I've seen one. Actually, I think I may have seen one or two episodes, but it was honestly just in passing. So that's I think I added it on here because it just seemed to have that feel of a sitcom. But if that's not the case, since you've watched it, then maybe not.
yeah, it's more like a more modern, like Curb Your Enthusiasm style
Okay, but not
comedy, like Scrubs or something like that. Yeah,
so okay,
a
but
sitcom like, to the audience.
okay. So then you would still okay. So if that's the case, then we're saying doesn't count then.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously we can revisit these. It's not like once we decide, we can never change.
This is lore. It's the set in stone.
This is the internet. All things are final. Okay. Next one. Third Rock from the Sun. Now this is one I've definitely seen plenty of.
I've probably seen every episode at some point.
I mean, it's been a while. Like I'm pretty sure I have as well, but it's been quite a while since I have. But I mean, John Lithgow, French Stewart, what's his face, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and oh God, what's her name? I forget.
Oh, it's not Kirstie Alley, is it?
No. Oh shit, I forget her name. I'm gonna feel like an asshole now.
I don't know about you, but like it was my first exposure to like John Lithgow and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, so they will always be the aliens that live in America to
Right,
me.
exactly. It honestly took
You
me a
even see
while.
you
It
see
yeah,
this stuff like Batman and he's still Tommy.
right, exactly. Like it took. I'm sure it took a lot of people a while to get out of that. Her name is Kristen Johnston. That's what her name is.
Oh, I wouldn't have got that. No.
Yeah, me either. Um, so and then hey, virtual, thanks for joining in. Hannah Montana, best here. Oh, we'll get to it. Believe me, it's down there. Um, so Third Rock,
Got
yeah,
opinions.
yeah. No, I got it. We got a whole episode dedicated to just Hannah Montana. Yeah, Third Rock it was a very it still is kind of a goofy concept for a sitcom. I mean,
Yeah.
um, I feel like that and just I guess before ranking it, I feel like that's another thing where even if there are sitcoms that happen in the last 5 to 10 years, I feel like not a lot of them, if any at all, are like in that surreal, goofy standpoint of like there's like oh there's aliens on the show. You know what I mean?
It was never every sitcom's like, I'm dating this woman and she does this weird thing. Or like,
Right.
it would just be an entire episode about like, why do people watch football?
Right.
Why do people go to the movies? Like, I remember one where they all get sick and they experience sneezing for the first time and all like freak out at how amazing it feels.
Yeah. They would just also I will say French Stewart, his face is just it's just goofy. Like he just I
Always
swear.
did that, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was the radio.
Yeah.
I remember one episode where, like, it's stuff I don't think you could get away with now.
Oh yeah.
Where Lithgow mentions to his black secretary that she's wearing like a headdress. Like, why are you wearing that? And she goes, "Oh, it's part of my culture." He's like, "What culture is that?" And she goes, "Being black." And he goes, "Oh, you all look the same to me," meaning meant humans.
Right, right.
And like everyone freaks out at him and stuff like that. And he's just like, "Oh, I don't see the difference between white and black people." And then like the whole episode is them thinking that he's trying to be like this man who's like pretends that he's like really woke is how he will put it these days. But he's
Oh my god. Yeah, you definitely wouldn't get away with that shit at all. That's funny. Oh my god. What a great concept.
and I would legit say like one of the funniest episodes of any sitcom I've seen came from Third Rock from the Start.
Mhm.
And it's they get invited to a murder mystery party.
Mhm.
They don't know it's a murder mystery party,
Yeah.
but they legit think someone has been murdered. And they're trying to solve the case.
Oh, that's a good one, man.
Like,
I need to watch that.
zoom in on like the detective like sitting there reading a newspaper and they're getting angry at him that he's taking time off from the investigation.
Oh my god. What service is the show on? Is it on like Hulu or something? I need to check it out again.
I don't know if it's on anything. I don't
God.
know.
Let me see here. I gotta
It's
look
a
this.
show I could probably go back and watch. I don't think I've seen that for 10 or 15
Oh
years.
yeah, it's been a while. It's
Yeah.
on. It's on a shit ton actually. None of which you have to actually pay for, which is great. It's on Tubi, Peacock, Pluto TV, Vudu, Crackle.
Peacock. Yeah.
Amazon, I guess, has it. Okay, so yeah, actually, surprisingly, a decent amount. I'm kind of shocked. All right,
Okay. Okay.
might have to add that to the old watch list. All right.
I think I could fall asleep to with an episode each night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just put them
Yeah.
on. All right.
You rate it?
I obviously don't want to come out the gate ranking everything like super high. So,
Yeah.
but like I said, we cannot. Well, I think we're gonna have to like
Explore the
re-rank.
scale.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Gotta
say
explore the scale.
I'm gonna say at least a B. I'm not saying it will be B, but I feel like at least a B. I don't know.
I would say B.
B. All right, we
So I
can.
feel like that is a really good and fun show. And I'm not going to say it's bad or anything like
Yeah.
that. And I think it was pretty consistent. It never like got bad or anything. It weren't one of those
Right.
sitcoms where like half the cast left and they replaced them.
Right.
But I really enjoy it and I love it. But there's so many that when you sit down and look at it, are actually better than it.
Oh, of course, of course. Okay.
I feel
Well,
like it's more fun to watch than like be an amazing sitcom.
yeah, it's just something you throw on. Yeah. All right, we'll start with B. I think that's a good place to start. All right, next one, a real throwback, and I guess I think I could still consider this a sitcom, is The Addams Family. Like, would you at least consider that to be a sitcom?
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
As a kid, I watched the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
that's still like the original Addams Family.
so I mean, I guess I could look up whether or not it actually was in front of a studio audience. I mean, you definitely get the canned laughter and all that kind of stuff. So you definitely hear that. I would assume it was actually in front of a studio audience, but I mean, it's a comedy. It's just a very morbid. I mean, it's just a bunch of people who are like super dark and and it is funny. It's not like it's a drama or anything, or a dramedy or anything like that.
As I said, I've not seen it, so I'm happy to hand off to you on whether you feel it is
All
or not.
right. So, I mean, it's definitely out there just because of. I mean, okay, it's old. I mean, it's definitely predates kind of the typical, I would think, sitcom type
I don't know,
of.
because you had like, I Love Lucy in the 50s, you had Bewitched and things like that.
That's a good point. And you know what other one I forgot to add on here? Leave It to Beaver.
Mooners. I never saw it.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I know it technically counts. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I guess maybe what I'll say is this is definitely in the early ages of sitcom in a general sense. But so yeah, probably not the first one, but um,
We got to remember as well, the only sitcoms we hear about from the 50s and 60s now, stuff that's like travelled, shows where they're just forgotten to time.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
they don't age well or weren't good, things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like some of these shows we're going to talk about, no one's going to know them in 20 years.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
From the 90s, like.
Yeah, there's some. Well, when I was searching for all these different images and shows, and I was typing like generic statements like 90 sitcoms, 80 sitcoms, whatever, just to like make sure I got some of the popular ones. There were plenty on there. I'm like, I have never heard of this in my life, and it's not just because like I wasn't alive then. It's like no, like there's clearly shit on here that's as old as like the 50s and 60s. There's just stuff on there that like it just went away forever.
Never made it on Nick at Night.
yeah. If you don't make it on Nick at Night, you're fucked.
Yeah.
I'll say okay, I'll put it this way. Addams Family is a great show just in general, but when you do rank it up to a lot of the kind of quote unquote typical sitcoms, I don't think it holds up as well. So I'll give it a C for now, but it's with a little bit of
like what
pain.
I would say as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've seen it, I haven't. Like I feel like when my nephew's like 12, I could sit him down and enjoy Third Rock from the Sun still.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Do you think the Addams Family would still like travel?
I get it. Well, I feel like even back then, or since it came out, like since it does have that kind of morbidness to it, I feel like it wasn't that popular to begin with. So I feel like if you're of that kind of person where you find that shit funny, then yeah, I honestly think it would. But it's also old, black and white. Not a lot of people love that too. So like that kind of has a factor in it too. So I'll give it a C for now. I think I think that's a good starting point. But okay, Alf.
Never seen it.
um, I mean, it's about a fucking puppet alien who like tries to be
Oh,
normal.
Esther.
I mean, I guess similar to Third Rock from the Sun. He's kind of, but I feel like Alf does a better job than the fucking characters from Third Rock from the Sun. He actually fits in better. I mean, it's just a stupid, goofy. It's honestly at this point, I feel like people know the character because they've probably seen it versus like actually watching the show.
Yeah, I know of Alf. That's about it. Like when Too Many Cooks came out, and there was, what is it, Snuffles or something, the cat? Like I knew that was a spoof of Alf, but
Right.
I could not tell you what one episode of Alf is about.
Yeah. I'm just gonna give that a D tier.
Wow.
I don't know.
I'm
Grant,
surprised that one they haven't tried to bring back as well.
I don't know. Maybe Alf has like gone on a bender and he's just been a drug addict. They can't bring him back.
I mean, especially like, how is there not some executive? I don't know what network it was on that's gone
Yeah.
like, let's bring back Alf.
Right. That seems like a decision. It's like, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, like especially now with like social media and stuff, you could do loads of stuff like with an alien-based sitcom.
I will say, actually, a couple weeks ago, I think I was at Target and I think I saw an Alf shirt randomly. I don't know why,
Yeah,
but it was there.
yeah. Anything 80s, they always have. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. We'll leave it at that for now. All in the Family. Have you seen this one?
I have not seen All in the Family.
Okay. All right. Good.
Have you?
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, the premise of the show. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna read you the top, um, the Wikipedia basically summary, and you tell me just from that alone if you think the show could be made today. The lead character Archie Bunker is a loudmouth, uneducated bigot who believes in every stereotype he has ever heard.
I've heard it. Yeah. So I think we actually had a similar one in England called Love Thy Neighbour.
Okay.
And the premise of Love Thy Neighbour is, I think it was in the 60s, the show. What
Uh,
it was a
mm,
white family from England
okay.
who they had a black family move next door.
This is like
Um,
okay. This is like word for word that. Okay, but yeah, anyway, yeah. Go ahead,
yeah,
continue.
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it was like a remake or like the
Mm-hmm.
American version.
Mm-hmm.
But that was it. It was like it would just be the stuff he said, like is just plain racist and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that. Like it wouldn't be on TV today.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And I actually
And
I forgot this. So it's funny you'd say that part. So they in the description as well. I kind of forgot this. They mentioned that their neighbors that move in next door are black as well, and that's the Jeffersons, which reminded me that that's how the Jeffersons started. It was a spin-off of All in the
oh,
Family. Yes.
okay, I never knew that.
Yes, which I actually just realized. I think I
You
forgot
ain't
to
got the
include.
Jeffersons.
I don't. All right, maybe we'll come back. But sorry. Anyways,
You're like an Archie Bunker racist,
I
aren't
know
you?
I'm a
Forgetting
piece
that.
of. Sorry, we're canceled.
um, I've never seen it. Like I imagine that show's not repeated anywhere if it's as because we had a lot of really racist English sitcoms in the 60s and 70s. Like
Yeah.
there's one called like Till Death Do Us Part as
Hmm.
well. And as long as I've been alive, they've just not been on TV. You
Yeah.
just more know them for being that sitcom that used to be really racist.
Right.
Yeah, like I'm sure even if you watch them now, the jokes that aren't racist probably aren't funny. That's just what they're remembered for.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, I feel like All in the Family was more. It was cool at the time, but it's one that I feel like definitely has not aged well. I'll put it that way. Um, I don't know. I'll give it. Mm, I'm fluctuating between C and D.
So you're saying, so you're saying possibly Alf is worse than a show about a racist man who has
Yeah.
black people living next door.
Yeah.
Alf has got the short end of the stick here, hasn't he?
Alf has done some shit here. We'll leave it at that. You don't know what Alf did on his home planet. Oh
That's
God.
why he got Lost his
Yeah, he got kicked. He got banished to Earth. Oh my God. All right. Here's another one, which potentially it may not count, depending on how we talk about it, which is Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So, yes, it's not a studio audience show, just by the nature of what it is, but I don't know. What do you think?
I wouldn't consider it like the old classic sitcom like we spoke about with the others.
Ah,
I feel like that type of comedy is its own genre. This is it. I don't like genres so much, like comedy,
right.
action,
Mm-hmm.
drama.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like what a comedy can be now is just so different.
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to be everything was a studio audience sitcom,
Right.
and like then things like Malcolm in the Middle, Scrubs came along and like changed it all,
Mm-hmm.
made new comedies possible.
Yeah,
I just feel like you're not compare. I don't feel like you can compare It's Always Sunny to Third in the Rock. Different style of show.
that's a good point. Yeah, maybe this is what this category is going to turn into is just whatever that genre or subgenre is called, it's going to be that. Like 30 Rock, Always Sunny, maybe even Curb. Um, what
I,
else?
I mean, I would call it modern comedy show because, as we said before, like there's no audience sitcoms really on anymore. I just think that's more modern
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that for right now. Let's see how many that we like throw into this category. Then maybe we'll just have to do a rank of that category potentially is what it'll come down to. All right, that's cool. Yeah, I'm cool with that. So, okay, Andy Griffith Show.
I feel bad. I've only watched one show so far.
Nah, it's fine. We'll get into plenty of the more regular ones. Well, honestly, so it's interesting you say modern comedy because Andy Griffith wasn't really a it's I mean it's a funny show, but it's not really a sitcom either. It's like they were always outside, and I mean, Grant, I don't know, maybe they were on sets. Now that I think about it, I don't know. Hmm. That's a tough one.
It's in your court, man.
Is it a sitcom? I mean, it's an old ass sitcom, that's for sure. It's almost in that same vein of like Adam's Family, and even maybe Gilligan's Island when we get to that point. Maybe we need to bucket it on both or bracket it on both ends as like almost pre, like anything pre like 65 and post mid 2000s or something. Like those are its own maybe. I don't know. Hmm. I'm gonna.
I mean, for me as well, there's a feel to it. Even if it was in a studio, even if it wasn't, there's a structure and a feel to it. The way the sets are set up, the way the characters talk, the way they pause for the laughter.
Yeah. All right. I might say that's disqualified then potentially. Okay, Arrested Development. Is that that's one of a modern comedy then you would think?
I would say that's the modern comedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Not an old school sitcom.
All right. Bernie Mac show. Have you seen that?
Clips. Isn't this a sketch show? Was it?
Not
Bernie Mac
quite.
was a sketch show.
I mean, they may have. I mean, not in the sense of like SNL or anything like that. If that's, I mean, it was more. I mean, it was a sitcom, I guess. But, hmm. But once again, it wasn't like a studio audience sitcom. But I don't know if I would even call it a modern comedy. God, this is getting tough now. I mean, yeah, it's a scripted, funny show, I guess. I don't know. Son of a bitch.
I mean, as you said, we can always come back to stuff as well.
D tier. All right.
Put in the D tier?
For now, I don't know, because to be honest, even if I did consider it one, it's not the most memorable. So I'm just gonna put it down there to begin with.
Wow, he's not been dead long, and you're already spitting on him.
Yeah, I'm throwing him down here. All right, The Big Bang Theory.
D.
Yeah, just right away. D. All
I
right.
hate the Big Bang Theory. I hate it. I hate it. There's no jokes. All they do is reference nerd culture without making a joke about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not funny. The joke is that they're nerds and there's a hot girl who lives near them.
Yeah, and then rinse and
That is
repeat.
it.
Yeah.
Someone
I
came up with that premise, right? And that was the show.
yeah, so yeah, I've seen maybe I don't know half a dozen episodes or so, and granted most of them were like in passing or someone else just like put it on, so I never like actively watched the show, but I definitely know what you mean about like just referencing the nerd culture, and it was funny a couple times at work over the years, even though I'd never watched it, people would call me Sheldon, and I'm like. I didn't know how to react to be honest, because like yeah, okay, I'll be the first one to
Yeah.
admit I'm a fucking nerd. Like okay, I get it, but then I didn't watch the show, so I'm like I don't really know what to say. Like thank you, I guess.
Well, it's one of those annoying shows that I feel like I'm the only person who doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
If you go online, everyone hates it, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we know, online is not the real world.
Clearly,
And
yes.
the reality was that was like the biggest show ever for like 10 years.
It was yeah, it made a shit ton of money. So
Everyone loves it that I ever meet.
yeah.
And then I'm the one who like rolls their eyes at it. And that was it. Like all my family loved it, and I'm just like, oh,
Yeah, I feel like I would be kind of in the same way, even though I haven't seen that much of it. When I did watch it, it was like, okay, haha, I got to laugh. And like maybe, like I said, I watched 5 or 6 episodes. I was like, okay, I laughed, but like the fact that it would, if that's all they do, like forever, then it's like, okay, then yeah, I get it. So I could go with
I
that.
remember one episode that my brother was watching, and this guy went, oh, I'm going to go do something. And the other character went, I thought we were going to play Halo. And then the audience laughed.
And
That's
that's
not a joke. That's not a joke.
haha.
Halo is not. I thought we were doing something is not a joke because you put the word Halo in it.
Right. So yeah, I think I'll agree with you on that one. I mean, granted, it was trying to it appealed to like more of the mass audience, obviously, and I'm sure that's why a lot of people found it funny. But you know, only real nerds won't won't find it funny.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know. I think that's what some people legit think like nerd culture is these days, even though nerd culture is everywhere.
right, exactly. Oh
Yeah.
well. So in the comments, Brian, what's going on? Bernie Mac would be the same category as Malcolm. Yeah, potentially. We'll probably get to that in your gay in real life. That's why they said that. Thank you. I don't even know what that's in reference to, but I appreciate the
I
sentiment.
think the Sheldon thing.
Okay. Got it. Hilarious. All right. Next one. Boy Meets World. Did you ever watch that one?
I watched like that was one of those ones like I think my sister used to watch it because it was on like the Disney Channel. She'd just watch anything if it was on the Disney Channel. Um, my main takeaway from that was how creepy Mr. Feeney was.
Wow.
How he was always just there.
Just lurking in the background.
Yeah, like if your kid changes schools, like starts going to college, and then the teacher insists on moving to that college.
that part was a little weird. Like,
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, I work here now as well.
I know a guy. That was.
Have you got issues, son? Listen to me.
Yeah, only me. After 9 p.m. though. That was a.
The only thing that
I was gonna
sorry.
say no. I was gonna say like that was, and granted, maybe in overseas it was different. I don't. Well, maybe this is actually a good question for you then, because during the time when Boy Meets World was popular, and there's a couple others that I think we'll get to. There was always this block of sitcoms that all would play like after like the after school specials or whatever, and they would play them back to back every time. So I almost feel like Boy Meets World reminds me of that time and kind of that feeling of like all these sitcoms back to back, and but like when I look at it individually, I got to remember like okay, was it the greatest? Like not necessarily, but I don't know. It
I
was
mean, it's
fun.
not one I dislike, but it's also not one I like. It was just one of those shows that was on.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that's a good way of putting it. Like it was just kind of there. um,
It was like when they did a spin off or something, or like rebooted it as like Girl Meets World.
mhm.
No, it was just like did anyone was that ever in anyone's like top five? No, I don't think it was.
Yeah, I actually watched I think the first 4 or 5 episodes of that, and it was like I don't know. I feel like it was one of those reboots where like it was the name cash grab type of thing, and yeah, they had some the original actors, but yeah, to your point, like who was
Who's sitting there like I need more babies.
right? Exactly. It was like cool, like yeah. I feel like it was a kind of just an average one about a teenage high school boys and girls doing stupid shit, like whatever. Yeah, like it was average, I'll say.
Like it's a very C grade to me because it was like it was there, it wasn't offensive, it didn't like it.
Right.
No one hated it. Like
Hmm.
it just existed, and we have no faults really on it. Like that
Hmm.
sums it up really.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Did Jackie Chan ever do a Chinese sitcom? He probably did. I need to. He's made out every movie under the sun.
The
So.
Jackie Chan cartoon.
Jackie Chan Adventures. That was a great cartoon.
Yeah,
Which, funny
yeah.
enough, he actually didn't do the voice of Jackie. He only did like the intro and occasionally
For real.
outro. Yeah, I think he got someone else to do like an impersonation of him for some, or maybe he did it on occasion. I think I read somewhere it was a mix.
To be fair, that was when he was like the biggest star in the world.
Yeah, so he probably didn't have time for the
Don't
shit.
forget, it was like 2 to 3 years where he was legit like the big action star.
Hmm. Exactly.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't be surprised if all of it wasn't him. All right, up next, the Brady Bunch. Have you watched that one?
never seen it.
Ugh! How dare you?
It's one of those. Well, it's one of those cultural references. Like I know what it's about. I know all like cousin Oliver, things like that. I know all this stuff, but like
That's the first thing
I
you
never
bring up.
watched an episode. But like all those things like people
Hmm.
reference about shows and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I know it. I just never watched an episode.
So, I mean, I don't know how you plan on passing your citizenship test if you don't know about the Brady Bunch. That's going to be the top question. Can you name all the members of the Brady Bunch? Uh,
No,
wow.
cousin Oliver. That's it.
All right, that's all right. I'll take it. Um, Fun fact about Brady Bunch, since I'm from Cincinnati, there's an episode where they actually go and they shoot on location at the theme park that's here in Cincinnati called Kings Island, and that theme park is fairly old, and the episode where they shot was in like the early '70s or something. So there's an episode where they actually travel to Cincinnati and go to that theme park and film, which is like just very weird. So fun
Yeah,
fact.
it's a bit of a random. Yeah,
Hmm. Wasn't that?
I'm happy to throw it over to you for the Brady Bunch.
uh, he's asking what wasn't that the movie? Can't remember. I thought it was an episode. I mean, unless I'm just remembering wrong, or if they went there in the movie too, and they made who
I've heard
knows.
the movie's hilarious.
Well,
Never
what's
seen it.
yes, because and it's weird because it's almost like a parody of itself. It's like very self-referential, and it's like
Yeah.
making fun of itself.
Well,
Hmm.
that's what the Adams Family movie did, really.
Yeah.
Like from the '90s, where they sort of made fun that they were a bit of a weird, out of time family for the
Right.
'90s, like where they're in a motel calling to Maury and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Um, So I don't know. Brady Bunch to me is also great because it's kind of like a snapshot of the '60s, a little bit, or '70. Wait, is it seven? No, I think it's '60s. Um, and so that's kind of like just interesting for me. I always love learning about that time period, so I guess I'm biased. And I will say it had a pretty like big cultural significance too. So I'm gonna go B tier personally for right now, but I may
Wow,
switch
okay,
that
our
around.
second highest rating at the moment.
I, but like I said, I'm a little biased. A little biased. Um, okay, so these next couple actually might be in that modern comedy category. So Broad City is a hilarious show. Highly recommend watching it, but it is more of like the, you know, what are we saying? Like Malcolm in the Middle, Arrested Development, like that style. So I don't.
I've only seen like trailers for it. I've never watched it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think at this point, and then yeah, I'm just gonna have to put it that in that category, and then I don't I guess Brooklyn Nine-Nine have actually I don't think I've watched maybe an episode. Have you?
I've watched a few. It's more like a Scrubs type thing with
Okay.
police. It's not a sitcom, no.
Hmm. Uh, yeah, you're getting ahead of the list here. You to watch Gilligan's Island and Drake and Josh. Oh yeah, we'll get to those. There's some good ones. Charles in Charge. Never actually watched that.
I've never seen it.
Just gonna put that there for right now. All right, cheers.
Okay. I was actually in the shower the other day
Oh, this is gonna be a good
thinking
one.
about this show
Good.
because I thought bringing back everything these days.
Mm-hmm.
They need to bring back Cheers for like 10 episodes
Okay.
post COVID.
Post COVID.
Because everyone would have been affected by COVID.
Yeah. Okay, and so at the
But
bar,
no.
and they would just be shooting the shit basically for episodes.
Well, I like the idea though. It's the fact that they've not been able to go to a bar for a year,
Oh well, yeah, that's a good point. So people
and
would just. Mm-hmm. Yep.
you've had Norm who's had to work from home with his wife who he hates. With worked for the post office that's had loads of cuts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I feel like
Things like that.
Frasier would have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, like they could have have them doing Zoom therapy sessions with Frasier.
Okay.
And then like you could just have the fact that Sam might have to let's close that chapter. Have it that Sam might be closing the bar because he can't afford it now
Mm-hmm.
because he's been out of business for a year. I
Or.
was like, all these reboots that happen,
Mm-hmm.
none of them like make sense. It's just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Right.
I feel like Cheers you could actually do.
Yeah, and I feel like they could maybe have some kind of funny subplot of like trying to do like takeout only business or something. I feel like that would just go horribly wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just feel like you could do. I feel like you could do like a 10 episode mini season, just catching
Mm.
up with the gang,
Yeah.
seeing where they're at.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Other than Woody Harrelson, none of them are going to be hard. Ted Danson got a show these days. I don't know.
I think he did
He
the.
always has a show.
I was gonna say he every once in a while. I mean, he appears in Curb here and there, and then he had some show on like Hulu, I thought, but I can't remember what it was. Um.
I legit thought that was a show you could actually bring back these
Uh-huh.
days because bars also aren't what they used to be back then.
Right.
It could be like that could be part of the like we've got to change things. It's not making the old customers happy,
That'd be funny if they
or
have
I
to.
might have to think about Chinatown.
That'd be funny if they had an episode where it's like they're trying to compete with like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, like a crazy sports bar.
You could have it like they used to have like a seafood restaurant above them.
Mhm.
Be on Red Lobster.
Yes.
Like,
That'd be pretty funny. I'd watch that.
I feel like that's actually a show you could do, and it could actually comment on the fact that times have changed and these people
Right.
are now out of place.
Exactly.
And like, what is that? What does that actually mean nowadays?
Yeah. I think I'd be all right
What
with
are these
that.
people supposed to do in their spare time?
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I'd watch it. I would definitely watch that. That'd be a good one because it's like it's not like I mean it just takes place in a bar. Like even if they made that literal one set, that's all they need. It's not like some other sitcoms where they have like 10 different sets or something. Like it would probably be relatively easy to make, I have to imagine.
Yeah, I feel like Cheers is a big enough name as well, though, that they could spend some money on it.
Oh, I'm sure they would. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
I used to enjoy Cheers, though. I
yeah.
did rewatch it for a bit a few years back because they started like showing it on a TV channel.
Hmm.
Like first thing in the morning, so like when I was getting ready for work, I just used to put it on.
Hmm.
It's not aged great.
Oh no.
It's still funny. It's still funny, but it's like, as I said, that's not. People don't hang out in bars like that anymore.
Yeah, kind of a lost pastime almost a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I still really enjoy Cheers. It's fun to watch. But I think I said this with you, like for Further Up from the Sun.
Mm-hmm.
I could show a 12-year-old that for the first time and they'd still find it funny.
Yeah.
I don't think people would find Cheers funny now if they watched it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the jokes as well were about hating work and like hating your family.
You know, relatable things.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a nostalgia to it, and
It
I think
does.
that's what pulls it through.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the same thing for me with Brady Bunch, where it's like it's not the greatest show, but it's there's something about it where I could put on an episode, I would still watch it. But that I don't know.
I would rate it a B. I would admit that it's just based on nostalgia.
That's fine. I mean, that's important. It's all right. We'll leave it there for
Yeah.
now. Okay.
It's not a B if I'm recommending it to someone new.
It's not your starter sitcom. Once you've gone deep.
No.
Oh goodness. All right. Clarissa Explains It All. Have you seen this one?
Never heard of it.
All right. So this was part of the era where Nickelodeon was doing live action stuff in the like I think this was early 90s, not really in the late 80s. But they were doing like kind of the game shows that were popular, like Legends of the Hidden Temple and like all that TV show. And so there was a bunch of those types of show, or like Are You Afraid of the Dark? And then Clarissa Explains It All was a sitcom that they made, and it's the Bulbasaur of comedies. What, Clarissa Explains It All is the Bulbasaur of comedies? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure if I know.
I'm not into the Pokemon world, so I don't understand.
I mean, Bulbasaur is pretty cool. Oh, Cheers. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Clarissa Explains It All.
Still,
Yeah, but yeah, that's fair. You might need to give me a little.
Is it good or bad?
Clarissa Explains It All was good because it's about a teenage girl, and she's not your typical. I feel like in a lot of those sitcoms, it was like the girl was kind of like preppy or like an annoying little sister or something like that. But with this one, she was actually really cool, and she had like some really interesting fashion choices, and she even used her computer as part of the main part of the program, which like that never happened too much back then. And she would do these like weird, almost like pseudo Photoshop like type of stuff like on the show. It was really weird. I really enjoyed it. It's not like the greatest thing, but like for a teenager, it's almost kind of like Boy Meets World a little bit, kind of that level where it was pretty average. Like it was good, like but when you stack it up to like some of the other staples, not as much. But then again, if you're a teenager, you probably relate to that more than you would like Cheers or something like that.
It used to annoy me with like child sitcoms, a lot like the Disney shows and things like that. Especially the one with girls, because the girls were always the main characters were always unpopular and wanted to be popular. It was pretty much the premise of most kids' shows in the 90s or early 2000s, starring a girl. So the girls were hotter than any girl at my school. It would immediately have been the most popular girl in the school.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not buying this.
Yeah, this is not real enough.
People would put up with everything you do in this show.
Exactly. And like I said, that's why I think this one was really cool, because that wasn't the premise. It was very much like, no, she's just doing weird shit. She's just kind of doing her own thing. Yeah, it was cool. Like I said, it was a good teen. I'll put it that way. Maybe it was a good teen sitcom, and yeah, I could probably go back and watch it now and here and there, and it would be fine. But it's not like something I'm dying to revisit necessarily. So I'll give it a C.
I'll leave your judgment for that.
Okay. I mean, nothing will get worse than Alf, though. So I mean, come on.
You can be a full-blown racist and be better than Alf.
Exactly. Oh fuck. All right. Community. Never seen it.
Doesn't count. It's a modern comedy.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. All right, this next one's gonna be loaded. The Cosby Show.
So here's what I want to say.
All right.
I can't remember the name of the actor. You might know this story. One of the actors who was in it
Mm-hmm.
actually had to end up working at Trader Sam's or Trader Joe's, whatever it's called,
Mm-hmm.
as a bad guy.
Yep.
Because once the show got pulled off, he lost out on all the rerun money.
Mm-hmm.
Like he got photographed in there, and like one of the newspapers started like making fun of the fact or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily for him, like everyone sort of rallied around him and agreed that the papers were being jerks for doing that.
Yeah.
And he actually got a load of more roles afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he kind of got back in Hollywood. I think we can all agree Bill Cosby. I don't know if we have to say allegedly, but Bill Cosby, like, piece of shit.
Yep. Yep.
There is 10 other actors in that show. I'm sure are still lovely people.
Mm-hmm.
And worked their asses off, and there was writers who worked on that show. There's all these people.
Yeah.
And I always think it's a shame that one person can ruin the legacy. No, it's named after him, and he was the main character. He's never really the main character, though, to be fair.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I mean, his. So it's tough because he was such a prolific comedian. So, and as Brian, who's,
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but like him and we would grow up when we, or like in high school when we were friends, like we started becoming friends. We watched, some of his stand-up comedy specials, and they were like, I feel like him and and he'll probably comment on this, were like, no one else ever watched these damn things, especially our age, but like anytime we would watch them, they were funny as shit. Like there's even if you watch them now, and unfortunately, like if you take away the fact that it's Bill Cosby, like they're funny to watch, you know. And so like his name had a lot of power, and so yeah, even though the sitcom wasn't all about him, like, you know, it was he he pulled it together more or less. But to your point, the fact that now he's basically ruined the legacy really sucks. So I think I even saw like one actor, the son, what's his face? Malcolm Jamal Warner, I think was his name. He had basically said like, look, it's still a good show for what it did, like culturally, the stories and morals that it tries to teach. So like, I feel like you kind of have to separate
I
it.
think it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard because I will legit say one of my favourite movies is The Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Naked Gun still gets rerun on TV, despite the fact that one of the main actors
This is O.J. Simpson, yeah,
and his wife, yeah. Like, no one's saying like we need to remove The Naked Gun. So it's that sort of weird thing where some things are okay to watch it still, some are not.
Well, but OJ
I don't
wasn't.
know what the answer is.
But OJ wasn't guilty.
He's guilty of kidnapping.
Okay, fair enough.
Actually, he did get found guilty in a civil lawsuit.
Yeah, the tax shit or something, or he stole money or whatever it was. I forget.
No, like the family of the wife like sued him, like.
Oh, yeah.
So pretty much any money he earns, he has to pay them now.
Yeah.
That's why he moved to Florida, where it don't count. But yeah, it's like no one's ever turned around and been like, we can't acknowledge The Naked Gun being funny anymore.
Right.
Honestly, in the Cosby Show, the funniest bits were the kids.
Oh
Girls.
Yeah, they were all doing all sorts of stupid shit.
Yeah. Granted, it's still not like the best sitcom ever. It was yet again one of those shows that was just sort of on.
So what you're saying is that Alf is still worse than a literal rapist?
Yeah. Give it a C.
Yeah. Yeah, so as far as the show itself goes, yeah, kind of run of the mill, average, nothing crazy. I mean, like I said though, culturally, I think it did a lot, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of have to almost even remove that a little bit too. Is like I kind of want these to stand on their own merits of like watching it, but it's hard to like disassociate that a little, so I get it too.
I think because it's such a thing that it's not on TV as well anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder why. Well, I don't know. Is
Well,
it?
it's like All in the Family. What's the one thing we spoke about? It was racist.
It's right. Yeah.
Like that, it's what you talk about when you talk about these shows now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we'll leave it at there. It's fine. I'm cool with that for now. I mean, this is starting to. I mean, other than that bottom category, of course, it's starting to resemble a bell curve here. Okay, so this is about what I was expecting, so it's okay. Next one, I'm gonna just take a wild guess and say you've never watched My Cousin Skeeter.
No, you.
So it was another Nickelodeon show. This one, though, I think was late 90s or early 2000s, where the premise is okay, it's this kid who lives in like, I don't know, New York or some shit, and his cousin comes to visit. Like that's the premise. Like his cousin's just gonna come live with him, almost like Fresh Prince a little bit, where like the cousin's coming to live with us now, and then he opens the door and he's literally like a Sesame Street puppet. And but like but the thing is they don't it's that's not like they're not in on the joke. It's just this is just accepted that he's a like a puppet. Like I don't know, like
In the Muppet movie.
I get, yeah, kind of. It's not like, but it's not like
The girl's brother was a Muppet, wasn't it?
something like that. Yeah. It's just mind-boggling because it's not mentioned that he's a puppet, and it's like it's not even a thing. It's just he's just a normal kid, but he's a fucking puppet, and that's basically the pull of the show.
It's the same as like the movie Stuart Little with Michael J. Fox. Did you ever see that?
I think a long time ago.
I've not seen it since I was a kid, but I remember as a kid being like, no one's acknowledged that's a mouse.
Right. This is just accepted, I
just
guess.
adopted him. Yeah, yeah. I'm happy for you to
Yeah.
rank it.
I honestly more included it just because it was just stupid. And I figured there's no way in hell you were ever gonna watch this, but I've
never heard of it.
It's not great. I'm just gonna put it on D.
Okay. We really hate puppets, don't we?
That's a good. Yeah, you know what? That's a pattern I'm seeing. Puppets. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I have any
No, I
other
love
puppets. These are a different kind of puppets. These are terrible. All right. So Curb Your Enthusiasm, or do we think
I
that's?
don't think it counts.
Yeah.
It's modern comedy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Different Strokes with Gary Coleman. What do you think?
The funniest part about this show is the fact. What was it? Their mum was like the housekeeper for the guy.
I think so.
She died, so it was like, oh, I'll have them.
Yeah, here, I'll give them to me.
Not like they would have a grandparent to go live with, a sister. Like it was like, oh yeah, her life revolved around me. I guess I'll have these kids.
No one needs them. It's fine. They're mine now.
It's just so creepy.
It's a weird show. I just don't get why it was popular. Honestly, I really don't.
I think what's popular about it is you got to remember there's a large part of people where that's their idea of how black people interact.
That's a good point. Yeah, so maybe it was popular for white people.
Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think there was like black families watching Different Strokes.
I can't imagine.
I think it's that thing of like it's because I've never looked into this, but I imagine the entire writing team were white. They just think that's how black people act.
Right.
It's in the catchphrase. What you're talking about, Willis? Like that is what a 50. Well, there'd be like 70 or 80 now. That is probably what a 70 or 80-year-old white man thinks black people speak like.
Oh man, I mean something worked. It went on for a number of seasons.
White people watched it.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, I think you're onto something here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it a couple of times here and there. I think it was just on whatever like Nick at Night or TV Land or something. I never like actually paid that much attention to it though.
Mm,
Um,
give it a D.
yeah, I'll give it a D. Dinosaurs.
We haven't had a big debate yet, to be fair.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah. Dinosaurs, not
Uh,
the mama.
it was so dinosaurs. I guess. Well, yeah. I mean, it's live action. I think it still counts as live action. I mean, it's not a cartoon, but
I would say the style of it is a sitcom.
yeah,
I know they weren't like a studio audience, but it was a It was styled like a sitcom,
right.
the same way like the Flintstones was.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually another one I forgot about. That's that is interesting. I kind of forgot about that era of like Flintstones and Jetsons and even like Scooby Doo. I had like laugh tracks on it in a weird way,
Yeah.
so kind of forgot about those. Yeah, dinosaurs was weird. It's just basically a family of upright walking dinosaurs, and it's not clay. No, it's not claymation, is it? It's more like were they in suits or?
It's people in suits.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think you've just proven your memory of this show is not great.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched it. Kind of forgot it existed.
I know it just came on Disney Plus, but it's probably not been on anything for 15 to 20 years.
Probably not. It was weird. It was definitely different.
I remember it because it was more a spoof on sitcoms.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
It was like, wouldn't it be hilarious if there was a sitcom with dinosaurs?
What a twist!
That was it at the end of the day. No, that was it though.
I know, I know.
Have you ever seen David Lynch's Rabbits?
Sorry, say that again.
Have you seen David Lynch's Rabbits?
No, I don't think I have.
So David Lynch, when he was like early 2000s, like experimenting with digital cameras, put on his website a sitcom he made.
Of course he did.
Where the main characters are rabbits.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's just people in like suits with like rabbit heads. They just say really weird stuff to each other, and there's a laugh track.
That sounds about right.
It'll be like, it's just them like looking at each other going, "You knew I would say that." They're like a laugh track, and they just stare at each other for 30 seconds.
God damn it! What a
Yeah.
what a weirdo. I love him. Twin Peaks, best sitcom.
Yeah. I remember enjoying dinosaurs.
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed watching it. It's not like even now that it's, I guess, available on Disney or whatever. Even if I wanted to go back and watch it, I feel like it would be just to see it for like an episode. I don't think I would sustainably just watch it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones I'm also worried to watch because I'm worried it'll ruin what my idea of it was in my head.
Yeah, exactly.
I tried to show my wife a clip
Hmm.
of it on YouTube because she'd never heard of it. She was like, "This is awful."
Yeah.
To be fair, it weren't the greatest clip in the world. It was like the baby being born.
And like I said, if I recall, I believe the series does end with like the meteorite killing them, like extinction. Which, great. I don't know.
I always remember my mum always talks about the episode where they're going to throw the grandma off a cliff because she's of a certain age.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Bit of C.
You give it a C? All right, give it a C.
The premise alone.
All right, that's fine. The creativity and the ambition. I'll give a C.
You put it in the D.
Sorry, I moved it up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I moved it up. I don't know, Brian. I don't know what you're typing in the chat. Are you drunk? Drake and Josh. Did you ever watch that?
No, like my sister did, I think. Like, I never.
So, oh yeah, oh yeah. I watched plenty of Drake and Josh. So this was another. This was a Nickelodeon show, and it was in what early to mid 2000s, I think, is when it started, and it was you know, just a
Mm.
part of that block of Nickelodeon shows, of live action shows and stuff that they started having. This show is fucking great. This is actually a show I have gone back and watched and like laughed my ass off because it's just, I don't know, it's just stupid funny. Like it's just it's just these two teenagers like that, you know, it's a premise of two
Oh,
families. Honestly, it's almost like a pared down Brady Bunch a little bit, where you have a mom and dad and they have their own sons, they're coming together and they got to live under one roof, and like the Drake is the cool kid and you know plays the guitar, gets the chicks, and Josh is this fat like unpopular kid. But the funny part is by the end of the series, Josh Peck started losing weight and he actually looked pretty good. And it was just weird to see that
mm.
transformation like over the course of the show.
So like you somewhat know like my tastes and things like that.
Yeah.
I've never watched it.
Hmm.
Nostalgia goggles off. Is it worth me watching?
I also have to keep in mind too that like I guess I don't want to say it's too like American focused because like I feel like you could still enjoy it. It's not like there's a bunch of
Yeah.
crazy references or anything
I
like
mean,
that.
everything we've talked about is American so far.
Yeah, so they're like, and then the reason why I say that though is because it's like about being like a high schooler and like an American high school, but
Mm.
like I guess it's not that different, so maybe that doesn't matter. But
Uh,
um, I feel like you would maybe if I had to take a guess, I'm sure maybe the first season is probably rough because they're probably just getting their shit together a little bit. If I had to take a guess, I mean it's been a like I watched a couple of like memorable episodes when I rewatched some of it, like I don't know, maybe last year or something like that. So if I went from like start to finish, maybe it might be rough at first, but I feel like if you picked out some good episodes, I feel like you would. I
okay.
don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna watch it because like there's so much out there these
Well,
days
right,
that
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
unless someone's like it's the best thing ever, like to
Y- y-
sell it. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 that's totally fair. Like it's certainly there's plenty of other things I think that would be worth your time more, but it's I feel like it's definitely up there.
Can can you sell me with the ranking? Where are you putting it on the tier list?
So I think so as I've said a couple times now, like there's a couple of these teen sitcoms, you know, like Boy Meets World and Clarissa, and there's like a couple more I'm sure we'll get to that are kind of like okay, they're good. I think they're like just you know just kind of average, but I feel like Drake and Josh is probably the best one of that genre if I had to take a guess. And so for that alone, at least a B. I,
Ooh.
I'm gonna put it at a B for now. I may move it up to
Ah,
A, possibly. I kind of want to go through some of the rest of these, but um, yeah, I'm gonna put it at B for now.
okay.
So I'd recommend it. Okay, our next one, the Drew Carey Show. So obviously, I had a separate ranking just for that one. So the funny thing too is like, okay, there's this is an interesting one because for me, so as I've said before, from Ohio, and the opening song is Cleveland Rocks. I mean, granted, I'm not from Cleveland, but you know, Ohio, I have to represent. Also, Drew Carey, as you know, was in like the Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is a great show with actually a good well, at least a couple of the people from the cast. Um,
I think they
are
all
in.
guested in it at some
I
point.
think so, yeah. So that almost like melds in my mind a little bit with just those people. But the funny thing though as well is the fact that you knew what the show was. Where I feel like you know most of the people will mention some of these other sitcoms that we'll get to talking about that are like the quote unquote like most popular ones. But like Drew Carey show, I feel like until you said that, like I don't remember the last time I thought about that show. But when you mentioned it for the first time,
Like,
I remembered how much I watched that show.
yeah, yeah. I feel like I go through a few of these. I feel like those were shows in the '90s that were like '90s, early 2000s that were even being rerun everywhere.
Hmm.
And then it felt like the moment like the mid 2000s hit
Hmm.
just disappeared.
Right.
Just from
Yeah, right.
they're not on anything. They're not on TBS.
Hmm.
We've looked at it before. You can't get DVDs of it.
It's like banned.
Like, I actually looked into it. There's quite a few shows on this list where
Yeah.
I think it was Drew Carey responded to someone on Twitter and said it is never going to come out on DVD or streaming
Mm-hmm.
because the amount of music they use, licensed music that they don't have the rights for,
Mm-hmm.
have the rights for it on TV. They don't have the rights for it on streaming or
Right.
DVD or anything like that. So essentially, it's like it's gone, right? Unless Nick at Night suddenly decide they want to go back to the Drew Carey show.
Well, what if they just have what if they start a Drew Carey show only TV channel? They just show nothing.
I would be up for that.
I wonder. I mean, there has to be people who have ripped it from somewhere. I have to imagine, like, if you torrent it maybe or something, like they have to be available somewhere.
I even like looked on Reddit
Mm-hmm.
and like no one talked about it on there. There's like 2 pages of when you like search it on Reddit. It just seems to be like one of these things that everyone knew happened and remembers. No one really talks about it.
It's like the Mandela effect. The show doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, but I always just remember really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it wasn't one like I tuned into week in, week out. I've seen every episode of.
Right,
I
exactly.
always remember finding it funny, enjoying it.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun.
yeah, it was actually. And what's interesting for me is when that show was airing was that was, I don't know, roughly between the ages of like 8 and 14, I think, is when it was airing, and it was on a channel in the US that was called, it was WB, like, Warner Brothers, but they had like their own TV channel essentially, and that actually I think turned into the CW, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, that's
Yeah,
where
I think it did. Yeah.
So yeah, I want to say they aired it on that channel for a while, and maybe it was or maybe it was just a rerun. I don't know, but either way, it was before I had cable at home, and so like I only had like 3 channels basically, and that was one of them, and that's why I watched it so much because it was constantly rerunning on whatever. I think it was the WB, and so I just remember like that, and there may have been 1 or 2 other random sitcoms that aren't on this list because I can't fucking remember them anymore. But Drew Carey Show was one that I remembered, and yeah, I just watch it all the time, and like Drew, and I remember like Ryan Stiles and Diedrich Bader and whatever the actress is that plays, it's Mimi, right? That's the girl's name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
And it was
It'll
just,
always be Mimi.
yeah, it's just Mimi. Oh, and Craig Ferguson, actually, that's where I got
Yeah.
introduced to him. And then it was funny because at least in America, not long after that, he got his own like late night talk show, and I would watch that every once in a while. So yeah, I mean, it's like even though I haven't seen it in so long, because I literally can, obviously, as we said, like I still remember it's just a funny show. Like it's just good.
From what I remember of it, because like I don't think I've seen anything of it for like 15 years
Right.
at this point. Which is scary to think, but 2005 was 15 years ago.
16 now.
Yeah. But one of the things I remember, like even watching it when I was like a teenager, it was adults, and like I can look back on it in hindsight now in the way I feel. It was adults acting like mentally they're still teenagers.
Right.
They had like office jobs and things like that. Everyone around them, it felt like were like real adults and stuff like that. But now that I'm 28, that's how people actually act.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's not that far off.
And like it, which is weird because like comedians are the most childish people, childish profession even.
Right.
It feels like even so many sitcoms, it's like dad is an adult,
right?
And like,
yeah, not this show.
I just feel like I feel like Drew Carey. It felt more like just friends hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. Because they were always in his living room, and then they would. If I kind of remember the set actually, they would go over to his fridge, and they would always like take shit out of the fridge, like beers or something, all the time, and it was always just back and forth there. So yeah, they were just dicking around.
As well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
no, it
wasn't about anything.
That's the thing too. I'm trying to remember like what was the point of the show, and it was almost like Seinfeld-esque, where they were just dicking around basically.
I think there are too many shows now, like especially even comedies, they have like season-long plot.
Yeah, it's not episodic.
And I feel like we could just put a randomizer on 3 episodes in a random order, and it just
Mhm.
wouldn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually a funny point too. Is and not even just with comedies. It's with a lot of shows. Like as I've mentioned before, one of my favorite shows or series is Star Trek. Like in general, like all of them are I love them. But the most recent series is very much season long narratives, and a lot of the times, even though in previous series they've done like arcs that take place over multiple episodes. Generally speaking, it's an episodic show where they just wrap it up, every episode. And there's a lot of shows now that just I feel like just don't do that anymore, which is a shame. I don't know. I like that old style. I mean, I'm fine with a mix, but I kind of like the older style. Just
Yeah.
throw something on. So
Just more, there's nothing like that anymore.
right, exactly. Um,
Also, as well, it wasn't one of those shows where you got taught a lesson at the end.
right, yeah, yeah, pretty much.
It wasn't dad sitting down talking to the kids, and he goes, "You know what? I realised that I should treat the daughter the same as I treat the sons." Like, there weren't any of that sort of thing. Like, it
Right.
was always like, just like, "Oh yeah, Drew did get out of like going to work that day."
You're right. The important things. Oh my gosh. All right. What a great show. I need to look into this more to see how to watch it if possible. Uh
Yeah.
I
I
love
actually
it.
asked my wife the other day, "Do you remember the Drew Carey show?"
Hmm.
Like, yeah. Like, did you enjoy it? She's like, I mean, it was on. Like,
It was just
she was like,
there.
why are you It's like, why are you asking me about the Drew Carey show? That feeds into my point. She was like more suspicious, which makes me think else on this planet, like this one of those Truman Show moments where you
Right.
think everyone's in on it.
Just hear a laugh track in the background or a light drop. That's great. That's funny. Oh, good times, good times. What a great show. Can't say enough good things about it. All right, next one, Ellen. Did you ever watch that? I think I want to say I watched one episode of it.
I've seen like the things like the episode where she comes out and things like that. Like
Yeah.
not seen the episode, but like seen like clips of it and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I couldn't tell you whether it's good or bad or anything.
Yeah. I'm just. I'm gonna. I hesitate to give it a D, but I'm gonna say like I don't know much about it. I'll put it there.
Should we put it in the we've not seen it then?
Sorry, say that again.
Put it in the we've not seen it category then?
Yeah. So that's right here. So haven't watched or know very little about. Yep. This title's cut off. What is that? Oh, Even Stevens with Shia LaBeouf.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I remember the show. No. I remember a single episode.
It was
Sitcom?
so this
Is that more
honestly
modern?
so funny enough actually this might be one that may be disqualified because it's definitely not a studio audience type of show. But I mean it is a comedy. I mean it's fucking Shia
Mm.
LaBeouf like getting into hijinks with his friend and him trying to get out of it most of the
Optimus
time.
Prime.
Yeah, exactly. This is the prequel actually to the first Michael Bay Transformers movie. This is how he rose to power. Um, I don't know. Actually, yeah, you know what? The more I think about it, this may not be like a sitcom per se, because it's yeah. I think I might actually disqualify this one. I don't think it counts. It's a good show, for at least from what I remember as a fucking 10-year-old. But Everybody Hates Chris. I actually haven't watched this.
I've seen like a few episodes. It's an enjoyable show.
Okay.
That's the most I can say about it. Terry Crews is amazing in it as the dad who's really cheap.
Uh,
Like, I just remember one episode where he finds a nickel on the street and he goes, "Who left my nickel out here on the street?"
it's his nickel.
No, it's just that he's so tight with money that it's just like anything
Uh,
like that. It's like he's put in charge of buying like the Halloween candy one year.
mhm.
It's like a big bowl like that, and it works out to like $2.30. Like he's great in it. He is amazing. It's
Okay,
it's a C. It's a C. It's good. It's not anything amazing.
that's fair. Um,
Yeah.
what what did you ask? Have I seen Honey Boy? I have seen that with Shia LaBeouf. Actually, have you seen that movie?
I'm not saying it. No.
It's good. It's sad as fuck. Because it's
Yeah.
basically
That is bad, ain't it?
yeah, so it's about his dad and then him just kind of growing up as a child actor and just Shia LaBeouf is playing the dad in of the child actor. So and he's basically playing his own dad more or less like in real life. I mean without giving exact names, but I mean it's clear and I think he even said it's autobiographical, but it's good. It's good.
He said himself that he's got like demons. He's like he's not healthy.
Oh yeah. Well,
I don't know the correct way.
yeah, yeah. Well, recently he just got, I don't know if he was arrested or just called out on Twitter or something. I don't, I basically the same thing at this point.
He got called out. Someone said like, "Oh, you've harassed me," and he just replied like, "Yeah, I'm a jerk. I've done this to a lot of people, and I shouldn't have."
Mm, okay. So he's owning
Like
it.
he owned up to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's a talented motherfucker. But he just keeps going up and down. It's sad.
He
I
should
don't know.
maybe like step away from the limelight, and fix himself a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, whether it's the child acting in general or just the business that ruined him or if he was just like that, who knows? But it sucks. Um, okay. Everybody loves Raymond. It's our boy Ray Romano.
That is one of those shows that yet again I don't really like dislike, but I don't also love it.
Uh,
There's some bits in. If I watch an episode, I'll probably laugh 2 or 3 times.
mhm. Yeah, it's definitely a show that like if it was on, I kind of just left it on. I never like actively watched it. I mean Ray
Yeah, if
Romano's
I'm flicking through the channel,
mm, yeah, yeah, Ray Romano's
not
funny.
clicking it.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know, another C, I guess. Average.
yeah, yeah. It's a passing grade.
Huh, definitely. Sorry. Thought someone was knocking. Um, all right. We used to make an event to watch Everybody Loves Raymond. Is it? I mean, like I know it's good because it's lasted for so long. It's just it's probably just for us at least.
So did
It's
the Big Bang Theory.
that's fair too. That's fair too. But it also had who was the dad? That he's a famous actor.
Oh, Peter Boyle.
Peter Boyle. Yeah, he's hilarious. I love him.
Yeah, like he was the best part of the show. I would say.
Yeah.
The joke was just pretty much he was miserable.
Everybody hates Raymond. um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just biased for us because we just probably didn't watch it too much. But yeah, it's all good. All right, this next one is a personal favorite of mine. Family Matters. Did you watch that?
The Steve Urkel show.
Yeah, don't you dare besmirch the name of this with Steve Urkel.
That's what it was, though, wasn't it?
I mean, it's actually funny because I was reading an interview. I don't know how old the interview was with the person who played the daughter in the family, and she basically said after a while, like that wasn't the intention. It was just like he was just a
Right.
character who came on, and he was just this goofy
Been
kid.
in the first few seasons, right?
But I don't know. Well, I mean, he was there from the beginning, but I don't think he started becoming like a regular or more regular character until a little bit. Maybe it only took the second season. I don't know. But like she basically said, like that wasn't the intention for him to be like such a big part of the show, and it kind of just happened naturally because he just was the goofy kid or whatever, and then it like turned into the Steve Urkel show where he fucking like randomly there's science fiction elements of him stepping into like a chamber and he turns into Stefan Urkel and he's the smooth talking like freaking fashion model or whatever, and then he fucking blasts off into space in the last season or something. Like it's gets so stupid and ridiculous.
Isn't he like jump? There's like something like in one episode he jumps over a fence, but then he landed in a different sitcom.
Well,
It was like a crossover episode.
well they so he did appear in Full House actually for at least one
That might
episode.
have been it.
It maybe
Yeah,
that
that
was
might have
it.
been it.
Uh, and
It was like it was the show that was on before, and then like he jumped over.
see something stupid like that. Which actually, speaking of which, have you seen the theory that of all
All
the
the shows
shows,
are connected.
yeah, because of Saint Elsewhere, of like it's all in the kid's head, and like it was in like a snow globe or some shit.
But the X Files is canon in Simpsons or something.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
happens in The Simpsons is canon in X Files, and
Right.
then like Gears is connected to everything. And
Exactly. So that's hilarious. I love reading about that crap. But yeah, Family Matters in a general sense, though. Um, I love this show. I can go back. I think a couple months ago they put it on Hulu, or maybe it's been on there for a while. But I kind of forgot that it was on there, and I just put it on for like an afternoon one day, and I was like, I love this show so much. Granted, maybe it's nostalgia, and I'm like, maybe I'm too biased, but I love it. Like it's just I don't know. It's just like a wholesome, goofy sitcom. I don't know. I enjoy it.
where you want to put it?
I honestly want to put it at an A. Like it might be one of my favorites.
I would say C.
Wow. C. Ouch.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that like I agree. Urkel was like funny. Like,
I
am I gonna really say it's better than like some of the other stuff like Cheers and stuff? I don't think the show as a whole is
okay. Hmm.
like. You know what I mean?
I think it was. I feel like it's another one of those shows that was culturally important because I mean, in general, or at least in the '90s. I mean, I can almost even say the same now, what good or bad. Uh, like there was Fresh Prince, Family Matters, like Martin. We'll get into a little bit. There wasn't that many sitcoms.
I
With
mean, the
like
Cosby Show as well.
yeah, Cosby Show. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't that many that had like focus on like black families and stuff. So from like a cultural perspective, I think it was important, and it was just like just a normal family type of thing. I mean, granted, the dad was a cop, so like that kind of threw in some shit too.
It's weird that there was probably more sitcoms in the '90s about black families than there are now.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
Yeah, that's quite weird to think about.
Mhm. Yeah,
They probably did a better job of representing.
I would think so because it wasn't forced either. It was like these are just
Right.
it was they were just good shows regardless even if like regardless if you're black or not. Like all the shows that feature predominantly like black families, like they're hilarious. Like they're good shows. Period.
Yeah. And it's never the fact that I mean, like there's episodes of like Fresh Prince of Bel Air and stuff. Like we'll get onto that, but like the focus with racism and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Hmm.
But they that was never what they were about. You could have
Right.
took those scripts and put them in a different sitcom and changed a few things here and there. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, but I mean, even regardless of that, like I just enjoyed watching it. But then again, I could be too biased. I can meet you in the middle with a B if you want to do that.
Go with a B then. I feel like that's fair. I feel like putting it in the middle is fair. That's a compromise. We're not like saying D versus S.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Flight of the Concords, probably another one that's more modern.
Yeah, modern.
Okay. Frasier, spin-off of Cheers.
And now I don't know where you're going to land on this. For
Mm.
me, this is our first S.
I definitely love Frasier for sure. It's one of the sitcoms. Even if I'd seen it before, I kind of just would leave it on and I would just laugh my ass off. And frankly, it's been a little while since I've watched some episodes of it, but I definitely remember like just
So
I
it's
like
still always
yeah, exactly. But like
yeah.
the weird thing was even for me as like a 10-year-old when it was on, and maybe I'm just the fucking weirdo here, like I would still laugh for some reason when it was on. Even though it was more like it was highbrow, so to speak, I still laughed. Like it was a good show.
It had everything though. It had physical comedy, it had dumb comedy, it had intelligent comedy.
Right. Yeah, that's a
It,
good.
it had everything. Like
Mhm.
no matter who was watching it, there was jokes there for them.
Yeah, it definitely appealed, I think, and that's a good point. So it probably appealed to a lot of different audiences. And then, like I said, it kind of, to be honest, I didn't even realize for the longest time that it was that kind of a spin-off of Cheers. It
Mm.
just didn't even occur to me that I'm like, oh no, it is. Um, but yeah, I guess they don't really mention it that much though. Throughout the
There's a few
series,
crossover episodes.
is there? Okay, so there's a few
Yeah, I remember there's one where like Sam comes to town,
then. Okay.
and then I remember there's one where he has a stopover flight in Boston, and then like meets up with because
Hmm.
it like happens to be a party. It's like really weird because it's like some of them, but not all of them. Like Ted Benson's not there.
Awkward.
It's obviously whoever they could get, sort of thing.
Right, right. So yeah, no, no, I love this show. I don't think I'll argue with you on that one. I think I can give that one S tier. I'd agree with that one. I think it still holds up. Um, I don't know. Do you think though? So like you were saying earlier with Cheers, how do we get a follower? I think Shuts1 is now following. Thank you, appreciate it. Um, Cheers, you were saying you could do a reboot of it basically now. Do you think Frasier could do the same thing?
No, no, because they talked about they're gonna do a reboot, and I'm really worried about it
Hmm.
because I think Frasier was like 10 seasons, and that was a really rare case where I don't feel like the quality of that show ever got worse.
Hmm.
It was always really consistent. It was
Right.
always amazing. It was always like the best, one of the best shows. And they had like lightning in a bottle with the cast.
Hmm.
And one of the things that grounded Frasier, like as I said, like there was a bit of their everything for everyone.
Hmm.
One of the things that grounded Frasier was the dad. Sadly, he
Yeah.
passed away.
Right. That's a good point. Hmm.
He was the
Yeah.
one who sat there and made fun of them for having a wine party. Everyone at home laughed along because like no one at home has wine parties, or the one who put them in their place and sort of grounded it at times.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I always remember an episode where is it Kenny, bigger guy who like runs the radio station.
Hmm.
Frasier, he has like a breakup or gets divorced or something. Frasier tries doing therapy on him. It don't work, and then Martin just takes him out for a drink, and he gets a woman's number. He feels a lot better.
Hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, see, Dad, you don't believe in my profession." He goes, "I do." He goes, "I just don't believe it's for everyone."
Hmm.
And it was like it's like you just have like very real and like grounded discussions about
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah, that's a good point. And
it,
what even though it was it was a comedy, but it wasn't really a dramedy either. But to your point, there were those occasions where it's like, damn, okay, this is getting real for some of the stuff they're talking about. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember that he takes them to a restaurant that's like a steakhouse where they like cut your tie off if you come in with a tie and pin it to the wall. And like Niles and Fraser are making fun of everything. Like there's barbecue sauce on the table,
Yeah.
still from the last table. And Dad gets really angry with him, and he's like, "Look," was like a psychiatrist. Like she was like apparently
Mm.
like them, and he was like, she could also eat a place like this and not turn her nose up at it. She was a lady.
Alright.
No. and he, and it just sort of like, and then there would be episodes where they taught the dad a lesson,
Right.
and not everything's the old ways, Dad.
Also, that apartment had a sick view of Seattle. That would have been a great place to live.
Apparently, he couldn't afford that. Like, I saw a thing where it's like, what sitcom apartments are out of these people's price ranges depending on their occupations, and like,
Mm.
yeah, he was like, he was living in luxury there. He got
Right.
good rent control.
Well, that and well, we'll talk about in a minute. Friends, it was the same thing. There's no way in hell they could afford a place like that.
Uh, but S tier for me.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that one. All right, Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I mean, this has to be S tier for me. I don't know. What do you think?
Really, I would have put it there. I'd say B.
B as in boy.
Hmm?
So
See, I love Fresh Prince, and I really enjoy it. I don't think it's as when you like compare it to other sitcoms. It's sort of like what I said for Third Rock.
hmm
Like when you're watching it, you really enjoy it.
yeah.
I think once you start comparing it to other stuff, you go, oh yeah, well I guess that's like better.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I just so okay. So actually, this is very timely as well, and I think I maybe mentioned this the other day to you. But on HBO Max, they had the Fresh Prince reunion special, and it's basically it's just like a roundtable discussion with the cast. And actually, funny enough, they got kind of on it almost like a side conversation with Will, the original Aunt Vivian, because if you haven't seen it, or for people who maybe weren't aware, the first three seasons was one Aunt Vivian, and then the last three or four, whatever it was a different one. And then for the longest time, there was actually a feud between Will and her name is Janet, who played the original Aunt Vivian, and there was like this feud of like what happened and fallout of her leaving, and they on this special they like talked again. It was actually really interesting to see of kind of Will owning up to dumb shit that he did and the whole controversy, but
Was a
whatever.
kid.
Well, that's the thing. He basically was like, he was like, what, 20 or 21 at the time, and he didn't really understand some of the personal stuff that she was going through. And I think he unfairly, like, acted out towards her, and then she felt hostile, and it was just, it was kind of messy, but, Will for sure is or the aunt's a full grown adult, well past that, but Will obviously is like a father now, and he was talking about the shit he did and how he should have been better. And it was actually, it was nice to see them talking again. But like either way, that reunion special was really nice to see because they talked about the legacy of the show. And I got to be honest, and granted, this is almost, it's kind of one of those things where it's like the culture and the legacy around the show might be better than the show type of thing, because like they were talking about how for the studio audience aspect, like they pumped them up every episode and like got them excited and crazy and laughing, and like that was part of the experience that that was part of that show. And they actually kind of broke the fourth wall during the show every once in a while and kind of like showed the audience, which was always funny to see. And I don't know, like I feel like I just love what's his face? James Avery, I think, who played Uncle Phil. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, he just
shred
cracks
up.
me. Yeah, exactly. He just cracks me up too. Like he's just a great actor. I mean, obviously Will Smith, but um, yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah,
was a great cast. Tell you
yeah.
what, Aunt Viv was probably the most forgettable.
Probably. I mean, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
It's probably why no one noticed that she changed.
Well, funny enough, on the first episode that they switched to the new Aunt Viv, that it was another one of those fourth wall moments where like Will says something to her like, "Huh, your hair looks different," and then he like looks at the camera and everyone's like like clapping or something. It's something stupid, but it was just real funny. And then yeah, as Brian is saying, there's a lot of catchphrases there. The episode where Uncle Phil's dancing and Will comes running down the stairs yelling "Earthquake" because he's fucking dancing. Oh my god, I don't know. Like
They used to do like meaningful episodes well. Everyone always talks about the one where his dad leaves.
yeah, yeah, that's actually part of the
But I'd
special.
say,
hmm
I'd say there's other ones where it's like there's one where he gets mugged.
Well, yeah, there's one where he gets shot, and like Carlton wants to buy,
Yeah,
but Carlton buys a gun, like in response.
yeah.
hmm
There's one I know where Colton gets pulled over,
Yep. Uh huh.
and Colton thinks it's because he was going too slow. Like it's because the cops are racist.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's Will trying to explain to him like, keep your hands on the wheel, like
Right.
don't do anything, like like Colton being naive and everything. It's like, oh, let me just reach over and hand him
Yeah.
the license.
Shake his hand. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there's another episode where Carlton like ODs, like he takes like speed or something.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, like Will has the drugs or something, don't he?
yeah, it's like in his locker maybe or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That show was really goofy, but like also grounded really well.
Yeah,
Really
exactly.
well.
Um, yeah, I love that show. I mean, if you want to go for a B and I say S, I can meet you in the middle for an A if you want, unless you really think
Go
it's a
for it.
B. Hmm.
Go for an A.
Okay.
I just don't feel like that is one of those shows that if I like sat someone down and was like, these are the 5 sitcoms you have to
Hmm.
watch, the Fresh Prince would be on
Hmm. I feel like that's understandable.
there. Yeah.
Okay. Friends. I have seen maybe 3 episodes of this show.
Love Friends.
Okay.
I would put Friends as an A. The only reason I
Hmm.
would put it as an A is because I feel like maybe the last 2 to 3 seasons, like the quality really dipped.
Okay.
Everyone became caricatures of themselves.
Hmm.
Like Joey went from the jock who was a bit stupid to like literally not being able to like turn on an oven.
Like pull his pants up.
Like Monica was like slightly quite like she was a bit quirky and like things clean to the point where like she should have been medicated. Like Ross went from being a bit depressed to literally screaming at people.
Okay, so they took it a little far at that point then.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it,
go ahead.
I was going to say also as well. It just got to the point where like people were like, "Who else can we have date each other?" And
I,
it was always Ross and Rachel, and then it became Joey and Rachel.
yeah, I think with Friends, it's not that like the episodes I have watched, like even I think my wife has watched a decent amount of it, but like even for me, it's not that when I watched it I disliked it or anything. Like yeah, I laughed, like I had a good time watching it. I don't know if it's just like I just got saturated with all the other sitcoms I'd watched where I was like, I don't really need to watch another one or what it was. But I'm sure if I like sat down and watched it, I would probably enjoy it. So for me, it might just be not as high because I don't know, just didn't really grow up with it, I guess. But I certainly recognize obviously the popularity and why people love it for sure. Um,
Yeah, it's honestly so how like Seinfeld is huge out here, right?
hmm
In America, people that don't know I'm in America.
yeah.
Seinfeld wasn't big in England. Like no one knows it.
hmm
Really, it's not a thing. Like no one knows what it is.
Sure.
Friends was huge.
Oh,
It was
okay.
big here, but like if you said like biggest sitcom ever,
hmm
um, yeah, like Friends is it. That's the biggest one.
Like even more or as popular as like British ones?
Yeah, yeah. Like
Hmm
the amount is repeated on TV. It was
hmm
like Friday night, 9 o'clock.
hmm
That's when it was on at the prime time sort of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's still huge, and it's like it's even like on Netflix, it's like the most watched thing every year.
Yeah, well, now it's moving. Didn't it move to like Peacock or whatever or it is, or is that a different one?
Oh, it's on HBO Max over here now, but like in England, it's still on Netflix.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Got it. Got it. Interesting. Well, now that I have HBO, maybe I'll watch a couple episodes. Um,
I honestly like. I, I don't know if it's one of those shows that maybe newcomers won't get as much now.
mhm. You think it's of its time, like '90s, two '90s almost, or
The show doesn't feel too 90s. I think it's more. I don't know because I'm so used to everyone having watched it. I don't know what anyone like coming in with a
Mhm.
clean slate would be like.
Maybe that's what we need to do. Is I need to watch a couple that I've never seen that you would recommend, and vice
Yeah,
versa. And I'm curious of like how these would come across. Because like
yeah.
I think I remember I forget what it was. I don't know if it was some famous person or not, but I read something however long ago where someone introduced like their daughter who was I don't know 5 or 6 years old um, to Star Wars for the first time, and I think they had a good time with it, but they were like they didn't get the cultural significance with it. And then I even think I saw some other article where like a 20-year-old who had never grown up with Star Wars watched it for the first time, and they were also kind of like, yeah,
Watch
cool.
it when
It's
they're
okay.
young.
Mhm.
Before they realise that it's old.
Yeah. So it's just
Because
funny.
there's stuff that I watched as a kid that was a bit before my time, but I still loved it because I grew up with it.
Right. So you give Friends what again? I'm sorry.
I'll give it an 8.
I think I can trust you on that one. I think
Yeah, I feel the last 2 to 3 seasons let it down. Stopped it from being an S.
I think I could go with that. Oh, The Office went to Peacock. That's what it was. I remember there was some huge thing for because it was on Netflix for here in the U.S. for the longest time, and then yeah, it went to Peacock. That's right. All right, Full House. Drew Carey
You have
level.
strong opinions on Full House?
Drew Carey level.
Really?
No, not that bad. Okay, so here's the thing, is I feel like Full House was the quintessential like 90s sitcom in America because for when it was around. It was I don't know. I feel like everyone knew it. Everyone watched it. It was constantly rerun. Bob Saget, and oddly enough, Bob Saget before and still after is like the dirtiest comedian you'll ever hear, like stand-up comedian. It's so funny to hear that the some of the shit he would do in a stand-up comedy. And then he went to like America's Dad of like cleaning countertops and stuff, which is just funny to me. And then obviously Olsen twins and just yeah, I don't know. It was very everyone knew it. It had that San Francisco intro, and I still regret that while I was there, I did not visit the house that they filmed out front of. And that's literally all it is. It's just the front of the house. The inside is obviously a set because it's a freaking TV show. But like everyone to this day still thinks the inside of that house is what's shown in the show, and it's like, no, are you kidding me?
They put a studio audience in there and everything.
Yeah, and they just packed them right in. They blew out the other house and put a bunch of benches. So I
I
don't.
think that's a joke on Family Guy. They have a studio audience move in next door, and every time they do something, they just hear ooh.
Yeah. That's another one I forgot about. Family Guy. That's a sitcom, but animated, obviously. Yeah, Full House. I feel like I, it's one of those ones where it's just stupidly cheesy, and like I love stupid. I love that crap too. Like I can't get enough of it. I don't know why, but Full House is just it's so 90s. I love it.
Full House, as far as I'm aware, was never on TV in England.
Okay.
So I was talking to my wife about it once because she brought it up or something,
hmm
and she was like, "That is one of my favorite shows."
See?
So I was like, "Oh, okay. Like I've heard of it and things like that referenced in other stuff. And,
Yeah.
like I know a lot of pop culture, so I know a lot of stuff even if I've not seen it."
hmm
And then she was like, "Oh, God," and she put on the pilot episode,
Oh God.
which I feel like pilot episodes is sometimes the worst episodes to start with,
Right.
especially sitcom.
hmm
They're never that great. Everyone's overacting a bit,
Yeah.
trying to reinforce their character,
hmm
give you a good feel for the show. And I was like, okay, this
hmm
is a bit of its time. She then proceeded to put it on every single night to fall asleep to. So I can tell you what happens in a lot of the episodes, but like,
Yeah.
I know generally what direction it heads in.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna
And we had
sit here and tell you it's a great show in terms of like narrative or story content. Like that's not why I watched Full House.
so my biggest concern was how unattended the children were.
Yeah.
Like Mary Kate or Ashley, like literally drives a car through the house.
hmm
One episode. Why is no one watching that child? She is 4.
Because it's three goof.
She's just left unattended, right? To run around the house.
Because it's a dad and two goofy uncles, and they don't know what to do.
And like, there's an episode where she like keeps calling Japan, and like their phone bill is like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, she made an hour phone call. No one checked in on this child for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
She could have been doing drugs. She could have been drinking. Could have done anything.
Kate and Ashley probably did do that at four, to be fair. Um,
Oh God.
then also as well, what's the name of the daughter's friend who's always around?
Kimmy.
Me. If I was Bob Saget, I would have told that woman to get the fuck out of my house. The way she spoke to him,
Yeah, seriously, I changed the
constantly
locks.
just yeah, no, I'd be like, don't talk to me like that. I'm a
Yeah.
grown adult. Get the fuck out of my house.
Exactly. Yeah, she
She
backtalked
was-
all the time, dude. It was bad.
Oh, she just used to make fun of him
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't talk to your friend's dad like that.
Oh my God. It's such a
Yeah.
classic. And then of course they had the sequel series Fuller House, which I watched the first season of, and it was like, all right, like cool reboot, it's whatever. And then they've gone on to do like 3 more seasons.
She put that on as well, and that felt like a Disney Channel show.
Mm-hmm.
The way the comedy is, like the over the top laughter
Right.
from the audience.
Yeah.
Also, as well, something is how many people end up living in that house.
There's a lot. Let's see. There's Danny, Joey, Jesse, one, two, 3 daughters, the wife of Jesse's wife, the Jesse's and wife's 2 children, so that's 9. There's a dog. Uh, Kimmy just pops in, basically lives there. Like, there's a lot of people in that house
This is
for
not a tiny San Francisco house.
right. That's the thing. Like, this isn't believable at all. Um,
I also just like there was an episode where like who's John Stamos,
Jesse.
Uncle Jesse, right? He's meant to move out because his wife's pregnant,
Right.
who's now in prison.
Yeah. Actually, I think she just got out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She really liked that lesson. Meant to move out, and they don't because the youngest daughter, Mary Kate and Ashley, get upset.
It's amazing.
That's
That's it.
a reason to continue to live with your
Yeah.
sister's ex-husband.
Well, that's a great point too. Is like the relationships they have they're just so fucking weird, and then yeah, they end up just living in the attic basically.
Yeah, that's a great place to raise a family.
I think like
Third Rock from the Sun was like ripping on that.
yeah, that sounds
They lived
familiar.
in an attic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well that part, yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like I said, I think I just love the show for how stupid and like nonsensical it is. It's not a good story show. It's just there's just something about it that's just absurd to me.
It's cheesy. It is very nice. It's probably the most 90s show.
It might be like that's a representation of the 90s. Actually, the blanket that DJ has on her bed, I'm sure if you looked it up, you would see it. But it was like this 90s like grid pattern with like just these colored shapes on it or something. It was like the quintessential 90s look. I actually used to have that exact like bed sheet back in the day too, and I like always loved that fact that I had that, and I don't know what the hell happened to it, but it just made me laugh. All right.
Like, I think we're going to be very different. I personally would go D.
I don't know if I would go that low. I would
I'm
say
not letting you go any higher. I'm not letting you go any higher than a B. Like, I don't think you can put this on the same level as like Fresh Prince.
I'll do C. I'll meet you in the middle. I'll do C.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Um, Yeah, great show. I still think it's fun to watch every once in a while. Just 90s the sitcom. Good times.
Mm.
Fuller House that you can do without. Um, all right. This is also next one's an interesting one. George Lopez show. Do you ever watch that one?
Never seen it. Never seen it.
So this was an interesting one because I feel like if you grew up with Nickelodeon during the time that this was out, and honestly for many, many years after, the George Lopez show signified like the start of Nick at Night, basically. It's a really weird thing to like think
Yeah.
about because like you would have the cartoons, they would play, or or the live action stuff, whatever that was kid oriented, but like George Lopez would always like I feel like kick off Nick at Night, and then it would play at like 1 in the morning or something weird, but it would play constantly for some reason, and it always weirded me out that that was the case.
I remember the intro because I never knew the show. I would
Mm,
then like switch over to something else.
hmm
Intro where he's like jumping in the air or
Right.
something. Right?
Yep. Hmm
Yeah. I don't even know what's on Nick at Night these days. To be fair.
Is that even a thing still? I have no idea.
Yeah. But I have no opinion on it because I've never seen it.
Yeah, I included it on here more just because it was it was just such a touchstone of Nick at Night to me or to anyone, and they would everyone like the intro you just mentioned where they're like flipping like jumping or whatever. It was like everyone knew what that it was Nick at Night time when you saw that intro, and you would probably turn away. Honestly, I watched it every once in a while. It was a pretty average sitcom, and George Lopez is like he's all right. He's okay. Yeah, it's not great, honestly, but I had to include it. Um, I'm gonna put D tier. It's pretty terrible, actually. It's not great.
You tried to defend it. You
I
tried.
tried. It's not that good. Gilligan's Island. So
I've never seen it. No, like what it's about and stuff.
yeah, yeah. Um, I I don't know what it was. I guess maybe it was the fact that when we first
Sitcom?
do it
Sitcom?
is um I think I mean yeah there was a laugh track on it and there I mean that's the thing with like I hesitate to I don't know if it is per se I mean granted like they're sets they're not actually on a fucking island obviously but it's it kind of doesn't feel like it's sitcom but it kind of it is too I don't know maybe it's kind of a weird hybrid I guess but um very I mean very
Seen it.
yeah um, it's a good one because I feel like right when I got cable, however old I was, the I would leave that like Nickelodeon on, and like I said, it would switch into Nick at Night. And before George Lopez, was a Parasite on Nick at Night, they would play Gilligan's Island and Brady Bunch and some other stuff too. So I kind of watched Gilligan's Island a lot just because it was on. I mean, it was popular, like pop culture. A lot of older generations, I think, loved it too. Um,
I
I don't
leave
know.
the ranking to you.
I would say it's definitely outdated. Like, it's. I mean, it's still funny. Like, they're just trapped on an island. They're trying to get off. That's about it. It's like comedy lost, I guess. They're just trying to leave. Um,
But there was Fantasy Island as well, weren't there?
yeah, there was. That one I think was
Yeah.
more
A lot of
serious.
island-based shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably give it a C. Like, it's good, pretty average. I think it's still worth a watch every once in a while. Right in the middle.
Okay.
Golden Girls.
Put you over it. I've probably watched 2 episodes.
It's a pretty good show. I gotta be honest.
This is it. A lot of people like. I know, like. I think a lot of people joke thinking it's such like an old lady show, but like I think when it boils down to it, everyone like agrees it is a good show. I've never like watched it deeply. So.
It is. It's actually it's really funny. I mean, basically, it's just about. Well, it's okay. So there's one girl and her mom, and then the other two girls. So it's three girls, and one of them it's their mom as well. So they're all living together. Um, and I mean, it's just they're all, and it's Betty White is one of them, and she's kind of an idiot basically, and she just does stupid stuff. And one of them's like basically a sex fiend, which is hilarious, and then the other two are just always calling the other ones idiots. Like it's just a stupid like friends doing dumb shit together type of comedy, but it is very uh even now, like there's not that many shows where it's like older people doing stuff. It's usually like teens or young adults or whatever. So so it's even now I think it kind of differentiates itself. But I still think it's hilarious. Like I've my wife and I've thrown on episodes and we'll laugh our asses off. Um,
We'll throw the ranking to you.
I would probably give it a B, to be honest.
Okay.
I think it's
Yeah,
at least,
fine.
I think it's at least a B. And also, Betty White just celebrated her 99th birthday the other day. So happy birthday,
I
Betty
saw
White.
that. I saw she was trending. I was like, oh god, another one's
Yeah,
gone.
I know. Well, because the other three in Golden Girls, they've passed away many years ago, I think, by this point. But Betty White, still kicking.
I need to reboot it soon then.
Yes, so she can be, and she's still in it.
Yeah.
God, Golden Girl, just one.
Yeah.
Good times. Speaking of which, Good Times. Uh, Up next, have you ever watched Good Times?
I don't think so. No, I don't think I have.
Um, the main thing that I remember about it was the dad, who was also one of the characters in Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. He was the dad of the daughter that he's trying to like.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say he's dad's James L. Jones, ain't it?
No, no, not James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's
Dow's, ain't it?
yeah, McDowell. Oh yeah, the character named McDowell. Yeah, yeah, his actual name is McDowell.
Restaurant McDowell's, ain't it?
Yeah, the McDonald's knockoff. Speaking of which, also Coming to America 2, coming out in March. I can't wait for that. It's gonna be so
I
good.
just saw it's a PG-13 though.
Is it?
Yeah, that kind of like made me go, oh, right.
We'll see. We'll see how they do it. Oh well. Yeah, I mean, it was funny. I don't know.
I'll
It was
throw it to you. Yeah,
yeah.
good.
It was all right. Not like super memorable, but I'll give it a C. What the hell is this one? Oh, Grounded for Life. Have you ever seen that one? I think this was honestly only on ABC for like a couple of years. I remember it, and maybe it was just like right place, right time for me, where I kind of found it and just enjoyed it. It was good. It has I can't even remember these freaking actors' names. This dude's in Goodfellas. I know that much. And then the dad.
Robert De Niro?
Yeah, Robert De Niro plays a crazy uncle.
Joe Pesci's the nosy neighbor.
Exactly. I forget what character or what this dude's name is, but he was in Goodfellas as like this, I don't know, like a nephew in one of the scenes or some shit. That's how I just remember him by. I don't know. It's a fun show. You know what? I'm gonna say average. I just remember it. Like I think I may have told you before we started. Some of these I kind of just put on because I just remembered them, and they were like yeah, why not? Average, not
I
bad.
feel like you're gonna put it as a C.
Yeah. I feel like for anything where I kind of put it on just to remember it, it'll probably be in that level
Yeah.
most likely. And obviously biased for both of us because I'm sure other people have very different opinions on these, but this is just based off what we know. Growing Pains with our boy Kirk Cameron.
A boy?
Our boy.
It's like, I don't know why Kurt Cameron out of everyone's a boy.
Latest
I've never seen it.
latest mask wearing denier, if I remember correctly. I think I read a news story the other day that I think so. Something like
No,
that.
Bruce Willis got kicked out of like Walgreens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I remember from Growing Pains was from the show was that Kirk Cameron's character had a friend named Boner, and so he would always say "Yo Boner," and that just makes me laugh in its own right. I think for that, alone, it's worth watching. I barely watch this
Okay.
show. Um,
Already tell you're giving it a C.
no, I'm gonna give that a D.
Oh, I thought the boner would knock it
Ew. Next one, Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Did you ever watch that one? Guess
No,
all
no,
right.
I've not had.
All right, good.
Do you?
Yeah, I did. I don't remember a whole lot about it other than it was just on, and I think I laughed a couple of times. Oh, the one thing I do remember is the mom. I think that it's the mom or aunt or somebody. This girl on the right here is one of the characters from 21 Jump Street TV show. She was one of the teenagers, and then
Oh, not the movie.
yeah,
Okay.
no, yeah, yeah, from the TV show. So that was always cool. I'll give it. Mm, yeah, I'm gonna give it a D. I don't remember a whole lot. Hannah Montana. S.
It's like one of those Disney Channel shows that my sister always used to put on.
So S.
It was awful. No, just awful. It wasn't funny.
Yeah, I my niece watched it, and like, okay, look, obviously it went on to make bajillion dollars because like girls and stuff were watching it, so I get it for that perspective. But yeah, I'm not gonna put it with the greats of these top ones. Yeah, I'll give that one a D.
Imagine that up next to Frasier.
You just have no idea, okay? Happy Days. What do you think? Did you ever watch it?
Good.
Mhm.
Good.
Yeah, not like a crazy amount, but probably more than some of these other ones that were just average. But it just, I think it was another like Nick at Night thing where it was just kind of on.
I feel like Happy Days is one of those ones where you felt like your parents enjoyed the show more than you did.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, I can't imagine my dad ever putting it on.
Yeah, it was. I I don't know. It's kind of just a silly old sitcom. Like, there's nothing like remarkable. It almost was like one of those early sitcoms that I think was just was just on, and like
Yeah.
people didn't have. It wasn't offensive. Like, it was just there.
I feel like it's a sitcom you're told was bigger than it was and more popular than it was.
Right. Exactly.
Like the weird thing as well is like what it was set like 20 years before like when it was actually aired.
Yeah. Mhm.
You forget that now because we're so far removed from the
Or
time
that's
frame.
yeah. It's like, oh, was this actually in the 50s? Like, no, it was a little bit. Uh,
Winkler's not that old. He's
yeah.
old. He's old.
Right. Well, it's funny because Ron Howard was a kid in it, and like now he's however old he's now, but he's like directing movies and shit, which is hilarious. Um,
Give it a C.
yeah, I think I'll be cool with that. Just for how cool the Fonz is. Hey. Uh, all right. Home Improvement with our lovely friend Tim Allen.
I actually love Home Improvement.
Can you give me your best Tim Allen? Exactly. Perfect. Right. Spot on. Maybe I need to make that the new sound. Yeah. I need to make that the sound when someone subscribes to us. Just. Maybe I'll
I
change
used
that.
to really enjoy Home Improvement.
Yeah, it was definitely it was a show that I didn't necessarily seek out, but when it was on, like, yeah, I would laugh and I would have a good time watching it.
Oh, it used to be on. It used to be on like quite late in England. It used to be on like 10 p.m.
Oh yeah,
Being like 11 or 12, like most shows that are on that sort of time, like
yeah.
not interested. Like I was watching The Sopranos at 11. Right? So like I used to always put on Home Improvement. I really, really enjoy it. I loved it. Like I did watch like reruns of it recently, and it hasn't aged amazingly.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tim Allen just had a recent sitcom that he's been doing, or maybe just wrapped up, and didn't it do like a crossover with with Home Improvement?
One episode of that one,
Uh-huh.
and the premise is it's Home Improvement, but he has daughters instead of sons.
All
That
right.
is the show. That is all it is. It's a guy who has like 3 daughters, and he works in like a hardware store or something.
Of course he does.
It's just Home Improvement
Is this
with
just
women.
is this like alternate universe, parallel universe
Yeah,
Home Improvement?
yeah. It's the same. Like I watched one episode, and I was like, okay, and like and everyone because it weren't as funny either as like Home
Mm,
Improvement.
yeah,
I really enjoyed Home Improvement.
yeah,
I'd give it a.
yeah. I think I'd agree with you on that one. To be honest, yeah, I did enjoy it for sure. And we had the premiere of Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who in theory should have gone on to be a much bigger star, and I think he faltered out a little bit. And then the one dude got arrested, didn't he? Like the other, didn't I send you that article like last year? Yeah. Oh my God, it's terrible.
I think Thief's just joined the chat and he's asking where the fuck like third rock is.
Yeah, that's him.
Put it.
Yeah, Third Rock from the Sun with John Lithgow and Joseph Gordon-Levitt and French Stewart.
The big giant head.
So if you haven't seen it, as I went to go find out, it's on a bunch of free streaming platforms that you can access. So go check it out. Highly recommend. Good show. All right. So
It's gonna be our last one.
yeah, I was gonna say time check here. Well, okay, we'll do one more, and then yeah, we'll definitely have to do a part 2 to this because we're not close, and maybe in between, maybe we can add a couple others or something, but we'll see. All right. So How I Met Your Mother. Never watched. Never seen it.
You know my opinion on it?
I don't think so. I don't remember. No, I guess I don't recall.
So when we used to post on forums like where we met, I used to actually have a signature from How I Met Your Mother.
You know, now that you mention it, that does sound familiar. Yes, that is ringing a bell. That is ringing a bell.
Yeah. Yeah. And Thief just said solid, good start, lackluster finish. Yeah, the last season was good. Last few weren't good. There was a show that was like pretty solid, like really enjoyable. Just not every show is meant to be 10 seasons long.
Yeah, you got to know when to end it.
Yeah, and it's tough because it's that thing. There was one point, and it's who's the mother? How does he meet her? And he really, really stretched that premise.
All right.
Yeah. It's alright. It's really a more modern version of Friends.
Oh, okay.
It's called How I Met Your Mother, but essentially it's just a bunch of guys and 2 girls who hang out in New York. And they're in their mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
What I liked about it is, I know we sort of said the opposite for the Drew Carey show, but like, you know how we said everything's connected now?
Yeah.
We would literally start a joke in one episode and like finish it 3 episodes later.
Okay.
Or like sometimes like seasons later.
That's pretty good.
But there's one where they have like a slap bet where whoever loses the bet the other person gets slapped. It's like I win 5 slaps. Then just randomly throughout episodes, they just get up and slap the person.
All right.
He's like, I got 3 left.
Oh my God. Good. All right. That sounds like a good time. That's funny.
It's got Neil Patrick Harris playing a womanizer sex addict.
Good. Perfect.
It's really funny. It is really funny. I would suggest that is actually one I would suggest giving a chance.
Okay.
Like, 5 episodes, see if it gels with you. Um, as you get into later episodes, not everyone's a winner, but
Sure.
it's still somewhat enjoyable.
So let me look really quick. So what is this available to watch on? It's on Hulu. Okay, I have Hulu.
Yeah,
Okay, nice. All right, yeah,
yeah.
maybe I'll give that one a shot then. So what? How would you rank that one then?
I would give it a B.
Okay.
I feel like the ending sort of like really did tarnish it, and the fact it went on so long. That would have been a really solid 5 to 6 season show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Knowing when to end the show is crucial, and I think I've discussed. Maybe I don't know if I've said it on here, or the podcast or the stream before, but X-Files is definitely a show that suffers from it went on way too long, um, and some parts of Star Trek can kind of suffer from that too. So yeah, and it's the same thing with comedy. Like at some point, just like you got to cut it. So I get that.
The reason I think they ended it is because Jason Segel started becoming a big movie star.
Mm,
He did like the Muppets. He did the Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
yeah.
People were sort of expecting him to become like the next Adam Sandler, sort of Jim Carrey, sort of side star.
Yeah.
Then they were like, oh, because he's like barely in the last season either.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah,
That didn't
yeah.
happen. Um, it
I don't know what he's doing. It's like,
who the hell knows? Is All in the Family on the list? Yeah, we put it at a C for right now.
mm,
Cool. So, all right, we got through. Gosh, maybe not even half. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, almost a half. I think I had close to 100 shows listed, so almost a half, and this was about 2 hours or
yeah,
so.
I think we did well.
Okay.
You've got to remember when we pick up where every single one goes.
Well, that's the thing is I haven't. I'm okay. After we end the stream, I'll save it and I'll see what happens. But I think I can save it. I mean, at the very least, I can look at the stream, and just re-put it up if needed. But yeah, all right. So it's a good start. We got plenty more to go. Some good classics. Some more shit. Probably neither one of us have watched. Almost guaranteed. And we'll figure out where some of this stuff goes. But yeah, so definitely
All
tune
right.
in for the next one, guys. And then yeah, we'll have the ultimate decision tree here, or the ranking tree, excuse me. Cool. All right, take it easy,
All
everyone.
right. Bye.